All right, I'm going to continue working through some of the rest of the problems on this worksheet about finding exact trig values. What I did, I took a quick picture of the trig chart and of the ASTC information. So this way I'm not constantly scrolling back and forth on the page and making myself seasick or, whatever. So that's there and I can kind of move it around as I go. Obviously, if you had a piece of paper, I would just recommend, writing this down on a piece of paper and use it as reference. Problem number 3, we've got A is equal to 7 pi over 2. It should be theta is equal to. But let's go ahead and solve this one up. First thing I want to do is find that coterminal angle. So I'm going to subtract 2 pi. So in my calculator, I'm going to do 7 over 2 minus 2. Immediately convert it to a fraction. And I get 3 pi over 2. Now, 3 pi over 2, if I graph it, is right here. That is the radian value of 3 pi over 2. So when we talk about a reference angle, we're looking for how close are we to the nearest x-axis. Well, we're not. We're not in quadrant 3, we're not in quadrant 4, we're on an axis. So if you're ever on an axis, the reference angle doesn't apply. Right? It's not applicable. You're going to use whatever information you know about 3 pi over 2 to answer the question. So instead of using any of the 30, 45, or 60, I'm going to slide over to this piece, and I want to focus on what's right here. Okay? And I know that this point is 0, -1. And one of the pieces up at the top of this page was a reminder that every point on the unit circle is cosine, and I'll actually use theta, is cosine theta, sine theta. All right. So I now know cosine of theta is 0, and I know the sine of theta is -1. That's what that tells me. The other thing that I need to remember, and I'm going to remind myself and look up here and show you guys what I'm talking about. Whoops, let me, hold on. Slide that over. There we go. So cosine of theta, sine of theta, and tangent is sine divided by cosine. So this is going to be the other piece of information that we're going to need to use to find out what tangent is based off of sine and cosine. So let me slide that back over. All right. So slide on down here. So tangent is going to be my sine value divided by my cosine value. So -1 over 0. Well, last time I checked, that's undefined because you can't divide by 0. Okay. Now I can use these 3 to find my other 3. All right. Secant is the reciprocal to cosine. So right now cosine is 0. If I try to do its reciprocal, that would be 1 over 0, because remember I could always put this as a denominator of 1, which that's undefined. All right, so that's undefined. Cosecant is the reciprocal to sine, so that's going to be -1. And cotangent's the reciprocal to tangent. Now I'm actually going to flip this fraction over, so 0 over -1, and that's just 0. Right? I can have a denominator of -1, I can have a numerator of 0. What I can't have is a denominator of 0. So that's what's causing these two to be undefined. So that's problem number 3. I'm going to go ahead and slide my little trig piece of information over to the side here. There we go. All right, and problem number 4, we've got A is equal to -360 degrees. So this is, if we were to take -360 and add 360, we get 0. That is a horrible 0. Let me try and write that again. There's my 0. So if I look at my trig chart, if I look at my information, 0 doesn't exist, right? I've got 30, 45, 60. I don't have 0 degrees. But I know 0 degrees is right here on the x-axis. And if I look at my trig chart, that's the point 1, 0, which is also, what is this? Cosine theta, sine theta. All right. So in this case, let's see, sine is 0, cosine is 1, tangent is going to be sine divided by cosine, which that's just 0. Cosecant of theta is the reciprocal to sine theta. So cosecant theta and sine theta, so that's going to be undefined. There is no reciprocal to 0. Secant is the reciprocal to cosine, so the reciprocal of 1 is 1. Cotangent is the reciprocal of tangent. So if I flip this fraction over, I'd have 1 over 0, which that is undefined. Now, the last piece of information that I need here is the answer to theta prime, which is the reference angle. And I don't really have one. So if you're on any of the axes, either the x-axis or the y-axis, you don't have a reference angle. You just use that exact value from the, I guess I call this the trig chart plus part, and this is the plus, mostly because it looks like a plus sign. But yeah, I just use the information from here, and I'm not referencing any of the reference angles, the 30, the 45, the 60, the pi over 6, pi over 4, pi over 3. All right, I'm going to go ahead and close this video out here.